I feel like I could just stop there. I don't know if there's words. I've been trying to think this over and think about like how am I going to do this review, because I still remember the rant from 2021. They were up 3 games to 1 against Montreal, and they blew it. And I felt like that was egregious. And yet, here we are. It's 4 years later. And one thing that I kept saying early on in this process was, hey, they're young. Yes, they've lost some key games, but Toronto, still a very good team, and usually teams figure it out. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they really don't. And I think, there's a couple ways to look at this. I've talked before about how the amount of pressure that a team has at home in Canada can be a lot, and I would understand a little bit, but it doesn't explain this. So I'm going to try not to rant. I'm going to do my best, but we'll see. So Bobrovsky versus Woll. I was mildly surprised Stolarz didn't start in this one. I'm also kind of surprised Stolarz didn't get into the net at some point. I have a feeling while he was healthy enough to be the backup that he may not have been healthy enough to play. That's just personal opinion. I have nothing to base that on, but the fact that he doesn't get into this game tells me he probably was not able to play. Healthy enough to be the backup, sure. So I put here, I'm tense before puck drop. That didn't really last that long. The tension kind of went away quickly because Barkov has a near miss and close on a turnover. Toronto fighting the puck. Fighting the puck. The puck, it just felt like there was like just this magnetic interference where they were two northern poles and just you can't. We tried to stick handle it, but the puck just keeps jumping off our stick to theirs. So teams trade rushes. The Panthers press. The Leafs block. The Leafs failed to clear a couple of times. The Panthers can get a change in. And this is part of the storyline tonight. This is where the game's scoreless, but you can see Florida's much better with the puck. They're much more competent with the puck, and Toronto's fighting it. You could see the nerves in how they were playing the game. It did feel like Game 5, where they come out and you're playing scared. And when you're scared to lose, you're not going to win. That's just generally the rule in hockey. Near miss for Verhaeghe on a net drive. Good forechecking by Toronto. But then Florida had some good forechecking as well, and it looked better than it did in the last game. And that was one thing Florida did not have going for them in Game 6, was that good forecheck. Panthers press at 3.5 minutes. Barkov has a chanceless blocker to side. The Leafs had spent most of the first 5 minutes in their own zone. What I was looking for was a big shift by Toronto. I was looking for not just hits, but I was looking for like a big shift by Toronto where they start to assert themselves. They're at home. They're in front of all these cheering fans who've paid a lot of money to watch them play tonight. But shots are 4-0 Florida 5 minutes in. Not an optimal start for Game 7 at home for Toronto. Panthers forcing turnovers. Florida played an absolutely flawless game. I saw zero nerves at any point from the Florida Panthers tonight. Paul Maurice might be one of the best coaches of this generation, and I say one of because we could have that debate at another time, but he's definitely getting up there on the list, isn't he? So Ekblad has a screenshot that's held. Woll at this point is the reason this is scoreless. Woll's going to take a lot of criticism, I would think, and there's reason. We'll talk about the goals too that go in, but at this point, he's the reason it's staying 0-0. In fact, the shot attempts 6.5 minutes in, I had to write this down, 21-0 for Florida. You've had no shot attempts through 6.5 minutes. Florida's had 21. Just let that sink in. No shot attempts in 6.5 minutes. You've given your fans no reason to cheer in the first 6.5 minutes of the game. The Leafs' rush chances are running into a wall. Basically, while Woll is in net for Toronto, there is a wall anytime the puck goes past that red line. Florida was like, nope, not coming through here. Nope, they were playing bouncers tonight, and basically the Leafs couldn't pay the cover. So, yeah, that's what we were going through. More Florida pressure at 8 minutes. The fans call when the referee does not. Don't make a drinking game out of every time I say that, because I don't want to be responsible for what happens. So, Nosek fires one high on a rush. Leafs are throwing hits, but this is the thing. They're throwing hits because they don't have the puck. They need more time with the puck. Hits are great, but you need more time with the puck. And even by the end of the game, they weren't leading in hits either. So a near miss for Pacioretty during a brief press by Toronto. Nylander fires one wide on a break. The Leafs press at 8.5 minutes. Nylander has a net drive chance that's held. We get some pushing. Fans call another one. The referee does not. Things get pushed in a hole by Bobrovsky. Leafs press with 6.5 minutes left. They're kept to the outside. Marner's net feed gets poke checked by Bobrovsky, so puck's going in front of his net. Bobrovsky's like, nope, and helps to clear it. Lawton then has a fast break chance that's held. McMahon can't bury one in close. Bennett had a rush chance that deflects out. Rodriguez misses one wide on a net drive. Lorentz has a breakaway chance that's held. I think Lorentz might have been the best forward for Toronto tonight, at least the most consistent, which is praising of Lorentz and kind of damning of all the guys who make $11 billion every year. So the shots are evening up. The Leafs are improving a bit. The fans call another. And then, while the fans are wanting a penalty, the Leafs end up taking a too many men on the ice call. And they had to call that. That was absolutely, they had to call that. So that's 2:06 left in the period. There's an early clear. The Panthers cycle. Jones has a shot that's saved. Leafs clear it out. They kill off that penalty. 2 shots. It's scoreless after 1. And considering the shots are kind of even, you feel like maybe the Leafs got through the worst of it. But we have 2 more periods to go, don't we? Second period, the ref gets injured early. It was a high stick. It looked like it caught him in the eye area. I hope it didn't get him right in the eye, but the amount of blood that was on the ice, scary amount. I hope Chris Rooney's okay. That was kind of ugly, and it was only, I think, 13 seconds into the period. So hopefully he just needed stitches, but he didn't return to the game. Ekblad has a one-timer that's kicked aside. Marchand has a net feed that's picked off. More good forechecking by Florida. Greer has a wrister that's held, and then at 3:15 on a 2-on-1 turnover rush, Seth Jones wires it. They gave him too much time. And Jones was like, all right, I'll just take the shot myself. The assist to Rodriguez and Barkov. Seth Jones has been a very good addition for Florida. Excellent addition for Florida. That was the 3rd shot on net for Florida in that period. The Leafs had none. So the Leafs have gone back to not getting shots on net. Florida's gone back to controlling the game. The second half of the first period was great for Toronto, kind of, sort of, but without a goal, and now that they're down by 1, there's an issue here. Panthers look for another. There's a press by Florida at 4.5 minutes. Nylander has a rush chance that's saved, and then at 7:18, it's a rebound in close. Lundell buries one, and the crowd, you could just feel the energy go out of the crowd on this one. The assist to Luostarinen and Marchand. It's 2-0 in favor of Florida. So... And at this point, I'm already like, okay, so it's done. That's where I write Florida wins 4-3 on the board. I put on the Florida jersey. Some people read it as a reverse jinx. In this case, it was just Florida's not allowing 3 goals in a Game 7. They're not. It's not happening. Bobrovsky's not allowing 3 goals in a Game 7. And I put here, this looks over. The Panthers look for another, and they would find one. Cross-crease pass and in on a turnover rush. Gadjevich at 9:39 from Greer and Jones. So Seth Jones with a goal and an assist. It's 3 goals in the second period. It was the second period that submarined the Leafs in Game 5, and it submarines them again tonight. It's 3-0. Lorentz then has a net drive chance that's defended. Verhaeghe fires one high from a sharp angle. I tell you, if Verhaeghe ever starts hitting the net in these playoffs the rest of the way, he's going to start getting a lot of goals. It's just he's got to hit the net a little bit more. Panthers press with 8.5 minutes left. The shots overall at this stage are 20-8 for Florida. Toronto in a must-win game at home in a Game 7, knowing their history, knowing how much the fans are paying for tickets, knowing how big this game is, knowing it could be the final game that the core 4 is together, manage 8 shots in the first 31.5 minutes of the game. 8. And I'm saying that knowing Florida's an excellent team, but Toronto won the division. They're supposed to be an excellent team too. This game should at least be equal. If this game had been an overtime game, I'd be standing here going, hey, Toronto brought their A game and they lost. I cannot say that they brought their A game because I don't think we saw it. So 20-8 Florida. Carlo prevents a Verhaeghe goal, so it could have got worse. Verhaeghe, the one time he was going to hit the net, and Carlo keeps him from getting that goal. Shots are 13-2 for Florida with 6.5 minutes left. Home game, Game 7, 13-2. Yep. Yeah, that happened. So things get pushed in a hole by Bobrovsky. Marner trying to rally the troops, at least trying to. Yelling at the... Now, I'm going to say this too. Leaf fans are going to be like, oh, well, of course, Marner. Well, why doesn't Marner play better? I don't think Marner's saying that he's playing well. I think Marner was just frustrated because this is 3-0. It's going the wrong way. Nobody's going. So for him to yell at the bench... I mean, it's one of those things where... The fact that a player, yells towards the bench like that is going to be seen as, oh, he's trying to blame everybody else. No, he's trying to fire the guys up. He's like, come on, let's go. Let's get it going. And you could see Craig Berube doing the exact same thing of trying to fire and it's not there. This team didn't need a new coach. They need to shrink. This team's needed to shrink for almost a decade now. This is a team that once the game starts going the wrong way in a game 7, gives up. And they stop. And it is really hard to watch. People are always like, oh, well, Shannon's a Canuck fan. Yeah, I'm much happier with a team that misses the playoffs than this. This would drive me. I'd be in an institution somewhere if the Canucks did this every year. I don't know that I would watch Game 7s. I think I'd be standing in front of this going, look, guys, I can't do another Game 7 for the Canucks. I'm going out with the wife tonight, and I'll recap what happened when I get home. I don't think I could do this every year. Steve Dangle does this every year. I don't know how. I don't know how he's still a Leafs fan watching this every single year. I just don't know. So it's likely the last game as a Leaf for Marner. Jones scores. It's waved off. It's reviewed no goal. I don't know if it was goalie interference or because he kicked it. I don't care. It didn't count, and Florida wasn't overly upset because they didn't need it. They didn't need it. You could have waved off a bunch of Florida goals. It's fine. They'll just get more. So, yeah. Panthers press to get it back. Game 7 Leafs is, shot attempts. 71-30 for Florida. So, not an optimal performance by the home team in this one. Remember, they won the division. This is different this year. They're a division winner. It's going to be different. Like in 2021 when they won the North and they were against a Montreal team that won 24 games in the regular season out of 56. They were up 3-1 and then, Leafs are forced to ice it. There's Boo Birds out again. The tickets, I looked this up. The tickets on the resale market for this game ranged from $518.15 to over $5,000 to watch this. I put $25,000, but it's $5,000. $5,000 still way too much. I would say that if you're looking at I'll say this for Leafs fans for next year. Game 7, you have a chance to buy a ticket for $5,000. Go on vacation instead. I don't know, go down to Jamaica. You won't be disappointed by your vacation. This is one of the reasons why when people are like, well, why aren't you willing to pay over the money for the Canuck tickets? Because I can pay that money for a concert, and I'm not going to be disappointed that the band didn't show up. But with the hockey game, you never know. So, 12 Leaf shots through 40 minutes. Just embarrassing. Booing at the horn. I was honestly surprised fans stuck around for the third period. I was really surprised. I really figured we'd see some empty seats to start the third. I didn't see any, so kudos to you guys for sticking around for the third period. So the Panthers pick up where they left off. The first minute's in the Leaf zone, but then it's a chance. 2:07, Domi wires one past Bobrovsky from the left circle. McMahon with the assist. I thought it was an iffy goal, to be honest. And I thought, okay, all right, 3-1. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe Toronto can get this together. That was a goal that kind of made it look like maybe the net could be open for business with Bobrovsky. If they can get another goal, if they can get some momentum. Oh, foolish mortals. So that did wake up the fans, briefly. Florida looks to respond, and they do. At 2:54, Luostarinen tips one in. Marchand with the assist. Marchand had a great game. Marchand, I think, I'm looking forward to a series at some point when Marchand decides to sit on the Leafs bench, because since he's in their head all the time, he might as well sit on their bench and talk to them during the game. So you can let them know. I'm going to beat you guys again, I'm going to beat you again. I moved to a new team so I could beat you again in the playoffs. Don't you like how I did that? So, and this goal by Luostarinen wasn't a good one. I'm going to be honest. That's one that Wall should have had. But it's the fourth goal. The Leafs had 12 shots in 40 minutes. So, yeah, Wall should have had that one. The Leafs shouldn't have been in this situation where they're telling Wall, hey, look, you got to be perfect. But I am kind of surprised when that one went in that they didn't switch to Stolarz. That's why I don't think Stolarz was good to go tonight. I think he was just good to dress up as the backup. Rodriguez fires one wide from the slot. Nylander couldn't bury one in close during a very brief press by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Shots are 2 apiece at 6.5 minutes. The fans call when the referee does not. Greer has a rush that's defended. Fans call another, so they let the referee know that he sucks. The referee didn't call things tonight. There's the one too many men on the ice call, and then he just didn't call anything. So it was even in that nobody was getting called for anything in this game tonight. I know people don't like it, but it's playoff hockey, and it's the way things have been played since I started watching. So at 9:24 on a face-off win, and apparently TNT missed this goal. Sportsnet did not. Reinhardt scores from Barkov, and this is where jerseys start being tossed onto the ice. Apparently Eddie Olczyk on the TNT feed basically intimated that fans should take that person that threw a jersey on the ice and beat him up, is what he insinuated. But no, it's not worth an assault charge. It's not. There's and it's not. It's like I will say this: if you're throwing a jersey on the ice during the play, you should never be allowed to attend a game again. You should be banned from all NHL arenas. Actually, they should take a picture of your driver's license. You should be banned, because during the play, if a player going full speed doesn't know there's a jersey on the ice, if the officials don't know and he trips on it, who knows what kind of injury you could be causing. So by throwing the jersey on the ice, you could be injuring a player in the game. And I really think that fans do this just so they get on TV. I've always felt like there's fans do this like, hey, look what I'm going to do. Look at this. Isn't that great? Did you see that? I threw my jersey on the ice. And they've probably got like 6 more at home. They've probably got like 7 knockoffs that they have. So fans are leaving on that goal at 9:24, and I don't blame them at all. In fact, it's right around the same time. I think they started leaving on the 6th goal, which was 9 minutes into Game 5. It was either that or the goal 3 minutes. I think it was the goal at 9 minutes and 10 seconds. So this is about the exact same time Leaf fans started leaving. I don't blame them. It's terrible. I mean, if your kid's in a play and they just suck at it, you just get up and you leave. You're like, I'm sorry, I was working. That wasn't me. Kidding. Always support your kids when they play badly. But at any rate, jerseys being tossed on the ice. The Leafs press with 8 minutes left. This is where I thought, why am I writing notes? The Lorentz has a 3-on-2 chances kicked aside. I wrote that down to point out again. Steven Lorentz was their best forward tonight. Yeah. Goalie pull happens with 4.5 minutes left. I will admit, I got a mild chuckle out of this while I still understood why they did it. So at 16:57, it's an empty net goal. It's Brad Marchand. Because of course it's Marchand. Who else would it be? I wouldn't be surprised if he just flung it towards the net and then he goes over to the Leafs bench and go, did that one go in? I didn't see. Did that go in? Like Happy Gilmore, right? I saw it go down the ice, but did it actually go in the net? So Marchand from Lusterinen at 16:57. This is the 5th Game 7 that Brad Marchand has won against the Toronto Maple Leafs, dating back to 2013. For people counting, that's 12 years he's been beating the Leafs in Game 7s. No player has ever eliminated a team, the same team, 5 times in their career. I don't know what to tell Toronto fans. I think that if it were up to me, if I was Brad Treliving, tomorrow I would come out and say, I'm blowing this up. This doesn't work. I'm blowing it up. And I don't know if that means letting Marner and Tavares both go. I don't know if that means letting them both go and saying Matthews is available if you want to call. Not shopping Matthews. Just to say, somebody wants to make a phone call and just sit down with Austin Matthews, maybe go, so just in the case of, let's just say somebody calls me and says they want your services. Where might you be willing to go? Because he has no movement clause, right? So the shots on net in this one don't seem to matter, but I'll go through them. 8-7 Florida in the first, 17-5 Florida in the second. My God. And then 9-8 Toronto in the third. The final shot's 33-21 in favor of Florida. Power plays Florida 0 for 1. Toronto did not have one. And again, the only power play Florida had was a too many men on the ice call they had to make. The hits 47-44 in favor of the Panthers. Bobrovsky, another solid Game 7 for him. 20 saves on 21 shots. Woll saves 27 out of 32. So, it's frustrating to watch. It is very frustrating to watch. Every year, same thing. Every year. When I wore Florida for the series preview, it was for the fact that I just couldn't see Toronto beating them. I just, in my mind, I thought I can't see Toronto getting past Florida after seeing what Florida did to Tampa. And then in Game 6 in Florida, Toronto played the best game they've played in years. And they come home and do this. Like, it would have been better if they just lost in Florida in Game 6. We wouldn't have had this. We wouldn't have had people spending thousands of dollars for a ticket to watch this live and then leave with 10 minutes left. I don't know what else to say. other than Florida moves on. They play Carolina. That series starts on Tuesday. I'll do the preview for that series tomorrow. And Toronto has to change. But I've said it before. I said it last year. And they still wound it all back. This does not work. This group does not work. You need better depth. You need guys who are going to go out and not play nervous with the puck. It's not the coach. It wasn't Sheldon Keefe. And I say that because Craig Berube's the coach, and they laid an egg at home twice in 3 games. Twice. And we know Berube's a good coach. So the idea that there's some magical coach out there that can get these guys over the hump is just not there. I don't think I'm as mad as I was 4 years ago. But maybe I am. Maybe I am. Maybe this is the maddest I get. But yeah, Toronto's out again. It has happened again. For those who watch Twin Peaks, if you ever watch Twin Peaks with the Giant and it is happening again, goes through my head every time with Toronto. And damn, that's a real bloody shame. That's a real shame that it ended that way. And that the fans watched that, and that the team went out and played that way in front of their fans, who have sold out this building for years. Mediocre year after mediocre year, the playoffs. And fans, and God bless them, the fans on social media that blindly believe this team will come back and win. I saw them tonight. I saw them on social media. The fans that believe all we need is a goal. This team's close. We can do this. There's no reason that this team can't win. So I'm really excited. And then, even though most hockey fans are cheering for Toronto now, it's got so sad that we're to the point where most fans who don't necessarily cheer for Toronto at all are saying, you know, I feel so bad for them at this point. I really wish they'd win in a Game 7. But here we are again. Did they get out of the first round? Yes. But the question I have is a simple one. If Ottawa had forced a Game 7, would it be Toronto that lost to Florida tonight? Or would Ottawa have been the team against Florida? And I still believe that if Ottawa had forced a Game 7, Toronto would have lost it. And it would have been Ottawa against Florida. It would have been Tkachuk against Tkachuk. I don't think... The funny part of it is, I don't think Ottawa would have taken Florida to 7 games, but it wouldn't have been like this. I can't see Ottawa laying an egg at home twice in a row. I just can't see it. But anyways, there you go. Done for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. And when I get to Toronto, when I'm doing the playlist on teams that missed the playoffs, between now and when I post that video, hopefully we get some more clarity on what's going to happen. But this has to change, and I'll try to get creative on what I would do to change it if I had any say in it. But yeah, if I could keep any of the 3, I would probably try to keep Marner. And I would probably make Matthews available, and Tavares at this point in time, I'd probably thank him for his service and let him go to market and try to just build and find something else. Because if you let Tavares walk, that saves you, money for next year. And if they did find a taker for Matthews, that saves a lot of money, and it changes the face of the franchise. And I think we're getting to that point where I think that's what's going to be needed. But talk about it when I get there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will say to Leaf fans everywhere, it sucks that we're here again. And you guys deserve better. You guys absolutely deserve better than this crap. You deserve better. So we'll see if they decide to improve it and get better, but they're not there yet. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Hit like and subscribe if you've not done so already. I will talk to you again soon.